All right, so in this one, we are going to be changing our featured slider to work only with the images that are featured at that time. Very similar to like what we've seen on that top marketing message. So if we went into our marketing messages, notice the start date and end date. Those things are what we're going to be doing for our sliders here. Right now, we don't have any start date or end dates, and it's still showing up. Luckily, this one's going to be nice and short for you because it's really not that complicated. And I wanted to separate it out so we can just do only this, and you can see how easy it is to adjust managers and query sets, or well, more specifically managers, and how fast you can do it. All right, so if you design a manager well enough, then changing them it's fairly straightforward. Now, we already have something called featured, and this right here is basically going to get all the ones that are featured based off of this query set. So realistically, we don't actually have to do a whole lot. Instead, I'm going to add all featured because it probably makes more sense to call it all featured like all and then all featured, where get featured item just being a little bit more descriptive on our manager. So now that we've got that, we can jump into our view for where we're going to be rendering this stuff right here and just do all underscore featured. And now if we refresh in here, it goes away. And that should make sense. And of course, it's because of how they're not actually showing up. So I'm going to come in here and change them to show up. And I'm going to change this to like 2012 to 2020. So that one's definitely going to show up all the time. So we'll save and go back to the next one. And then let's do the screenshot. So, of course, you can play around with these. So for now, I'm going to say 08, and then I will do 11. Save it. Okay, cool. So I've got two that are running, and we'll do a refresh in here. Now we've got the first one, and we've got the second one. And of course, if we change that time, let's actually make these editable, and let's change it right there. So I'm just going to copy right from here with that comma, and we don't need that end comma. Do a refresh in here, and we've got it editable now, so I can actually change it right here in the admin. Now this is kind of optional to you. It just really depends on how much time you're wanting to change. So now I'm going to just change this second one to the 20th, so it's a good amount of time before this video. And then I'm going to add this other one, 29th, to, let's say it's going to be kind of a Christmas one or a holiday special to be more politically accurate, but you know, whatever. All right, save that and refresh. There we go. So now we're only showing two, right? So it works really well, and it works to the point where it's not really that difficult to change, right? Like we could do this at any time. Now we can set our dates and times on however we want, and which is nice too. You might want to have a fallback one, you know, something that lasts for a very long time. But you also might not. The only bad thing that's going to happen is this just won't show up. That's not a bad thing, right? So if that slider doesn't show up, well, I mean, you're still going to have stuff underneath it probably, like our products, like we do now. But at the very least, it's going to go based on the time that the user is looking at, which is also very useful. Now, there's one more thing that we might want to add, and I'm going to do that now, is adding a link to this page. So now you could do it where the header text is safe. So if I did safe here, I could just make sure that the header text and slider text are safe. But I also might want the image itself to be linked somewhere. You could do that. So let's say, for instance, I put it as safe, and I come in here and say href equals to some product, or let's just do /product. That's probably not a valid link, but we'll just put it in, and I'll save it. Okay, so now if I refresh in here, it's now linked. Granted, the CSS for it is not great, so it might be something you want to update later. Click on it, and it will now go to that link of whatever it is. But the image itself is not linked, so we can go in and we can link the image. Let's actually just test linking it first. So here's the image right here. And we're going to go href equals to, let's just do slash some link. And then do a refresh in here. Now the whole thing is linkable. And also the text itself is linkable outside of it, right? So unfortunately, it looks like the image, the link is coming through on both of them when it shouldn't be. Oh, yeah, it should be actually how the for loop is going. So what we need to do then is if we want to actually have a link for this slider, well, we can make one. So in our models, we'll just go in here into our slider model and we'll just say link, or let's say URL link equals to models.char field, max length, let's say it's 250, null equals to true, and blank equals to true. Okay, close out the server and migrate, do the schema migration and the migrate. Of course, if you're on 1.7, it's make migration and migrate, but we are not doing that at this point. So let's run the server. All right, so now we've got this URL link. So back in home, or better yet, we want to do also, well, let's just do get the URL link. So inside of here in this link, we'll do, instead of that, we'll do if URL or slider dot URL link. Put it on the top and the bottom because we need to make sure that we close off that link. Do end if, again, top and bottom. And of course, we always want the image to show. Then we will just put our link here. And notice this is going to be a full-on link. It's not like super dynamic at this point. Maybe later we could do something like that. But notice the link, or the actual button for the link goes away. That first image, let's click on it. The URL link's not there, so I'll do http://. Let's just say google.com, or better yet, let's just do /product. That link will still work, so we'll just save it and refresh in here. Notice it's now linked. The first one is, the second one is not. All right, so this is linked all on the image. So if I click on it, it definitely goes. If I click on first image, it will go to the link that we set in it in the admin. All right, so that is pretty much it for our marketing carousel. I'm not going to adjust the CSS because it's really going to depend on the image that you put there. You might have a white image, or you might have something completely different. And then, of course, you don't actually have to have this linked at all. This text doesn't have to be linked at all. The image itself could just be linked. That's really kind of up to you, and you can make a decision there. If you have questions on this, let me know. Otherwise, let's keep going.